Yesterday, I met a friend of mine who told me that what I told him a few months ago saved his life yesterday. Let me explain. About a year and 2 months ago, I had a shift. Now you know that I work as an officer in special operations, and that shift happened to be Motzei Shabbat Saturday night, and it was just a few blocks down where I live. It was 10:05 at night. And when I came to the place with my commander, we had gone to the fourth floor of this apartment building. There in the apartment building was a woman sitting in a stairwell, and she was trying to reach her ex-husband who was in the apartment all day long, but he wouldn't pick up the phone. So when he wouldn't pick up the phone, she got very, very worried, and she called up the medics, and she called us, the police. So we were there, and we came there, and we couldn't get inside, and we called our commander. The commander said that we can breach the door. So we breached the door, and the medic went inside, and he gently said, that the man hanged himself. The ex-wife, who was on the stairwell, burst out crying hysterically. Her ex-husband just had killed himself. This man was about 35 years old, and when we walked inside the house, there he was in the corridor. I'll never forget the scene. He had he was on the stair. He was stepping on what do you call a step ladder. And there he was, stamping on a step ladder, one foot on the floor, one foot on one of the rungs, and he had taken the laundry clothesline and had put it around his neck and tied it to the ceiling pipe, and he had hung himself. One arm was the right arm was on the ladder, and the other arm was totally straight, and his neck was totally bent and broken, and he had in his earpods. He was listening to music as when he committed the suicide. It was a terrible sight. The brother who was there outside the hallway immediately went to their mother, and their daughters had no clue yet what was happening, because one was at the theater, one was 13 years old, and the other was 10 years old, and she was at home. It was a horrible, horrible scene. And as the medic was looking, at the body and so forth, I was walking around the apartment, and I came across the refrigerator. And on his refrigerator, he had pictures of himself and his friends, and of course his two beautiful daughters. And you could see this terrible, terrible scene. And what happened was, this young man, 35 years old, with psychosis, who had mental health problems, and taken his life. The pain was just too much. And he had probably figured out at that moment that hopefully that maybe, so to speak, if he takes his life, or he tries to take his life, maybe the world will stop and then the pain will go away. It was then that I noticed that the window was open. This is about 11 o'clock now, 11 o'clock at night. And what did I see and what did I hear? Through that window, life going on. Life went on. This terrible tragedy didn't stop the world. People think sometimes, who are so depressed, that if they commit suicide or try to commit suicide, somehow the world will stop and the world will hug them and everything will be okay, and then somehow they revert back to life. It doesn't happen that way. So I tell people the story because the lesson I learned that night, that as tragic as life can be sometimes, and very depressing and very sad, suicide is not an option. Because guess what? If a person commits suicide, life will go on. Now, the tragedy gets worse, of course, because his daughters now will never be able to depend on their father. Their father took his life. And they're probably angry at their mother because the mother, had divorced him because he had mental issues. All these things put together. But the main lesson is that when someone thinks of doing suicide, doesn't realize that the bad moment will also pass. The bad feeling will also pass, and life goes on. So therefore, don't commit suicide. Don't take your life. Don't sink into depression, because the world doesn't care anyhow. Now he's in the ground more than a year and 2 months already. His children are totally messed up, and his mother's brokenhearted. The family's shattered, and he'll never have another holiday again, or holidays, or get to be with his daughters again. And life didn't stop. The world didn't stop. So I tell the story to people so they will realize, don't give in to depression. Don't give in to the moment. Never commit suicide, because life will go on without you. And why should you miss life for? Death will come anyhow. Why rush it for? Fulfill your potential. Fulfill your life. Don't give in into the bad moment. So the story I tell to everyone, in order to give merit to this to soul, because this story tells people who do fall into such a state of depression, sadness, that suicide will not change the world, will not change their lives one bit. Just the opposite. Get up, be strong, see a new day, make a new life. Everything will turn out good, but you have to fight. Lo and behold, I didn't know that the story that I told saved my friend. He was very, very depressed. And that story took him out of that mindset, because he realized from the story, suicide is foolish. The world doesn't stop for anyone. Life goes on, so might as well fulfill your life to the fullest, and fulfill all your potential to the fullest, because life was given to you for a reason. I hope this video will reach people who have to hear it. And in the merit of that man, may his soul be elevated, because this story has saved many people's lives, because they realize life goes on and suicide doesn't stop the world for anyone.